Hey guys, and welcome back to my next episode of flipping 5 mil into 1 bill. So if you check in the description below, you can look at all my other episodes I've made. And what I've decided to do was that to jump to 50 million, because I was reading the comments in my last episode and there was tons of people saying, 5 million is well too small. Why don't you just jump to 50 million? And whilst you're doing the 50 million episodes, you just explain to your people with lower, cash amounts, what to flip and what not to flip. So I thought that'd be a great idea today, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to be starting off with 50 million, and today I'm going to be focusing on the God Wars dungeon items. In my next episode, I'm going to be changing, category of items. So in this episode, I'm going to be using Flip Chat 1. In the description below, you can find the name to the friend chat I'm going to be using, and it's pretty much a friend chat that gives you the prices for Bandos, Armadillo, Subjugation, etc, etc. So I'm going to be using those items today to flip. So one of the key things whilst doing flipping is to make sure you don't buy items instantly. One of the main reasons, because if you buy an item instantly, that pretty much means that it's going to be quite hard to sell above it. Mainly because if people are selling at that price, it's going to be quite hard for you, or quite a long time for you, until you can sell it for a profit. And the main reason is because, just say, I just bought the Bandos helmet for 1.137 million. So me selling above that price is going to be quite hard, because it's also above the guide price. Buying and selling above and below the guide price is quite hard. So I strongly suggest you stick to items that are above it or below it. Today on these items, I'm going to be aiming for around 5, even up to 10% profit on each of the flips. Just remember, you can't do this with every single item. So be quite careful with what you buy and sell, mainly because it's quite hard to sell some items, looking for 10% profit. So aim for around 5 to 8%. But if you notice that an item was recently updated and it's quite high, then you should probably aim for around 10%. So keep an eye on the updates going on in the friends chat, and we'll talk about that later on. But just keep an eye on the friends chat, because it's quite important for you to be looking out for updates, because they're pretty much new prices. Now, someone right now just updated saying that they non-instantly bought, that's what NIB stands for, a Bandos chestplate for 3.875 million. So because I noticed that about 10 minutes ago, someone had bought one for 3.8 exactly, I'm going to try for slightly lower. And if it doesn't buy, then no harm done. And if it buys, I'm going to be making quite a bit of profit. So with this friends chat, one of the things you just got to keep in mind is that they're going to give you prices that are the biggest margins possible. So you're going to have to be working inside those margins. So you're going to be trying to buy the lowest possible and trying to sell the highest possible. But the majority of the time it's not possible to buy and sell at the extremes. So the majority of people do buy and sell between those margins, 10, 15k above it or below it. So you got to be quite keen on whilst flipping. And in case you don't get it from the start, don't worry, just try it out. If you accidentally buy an item too high, sell it for the price you bought at, or slightly below it. Because if someone has bought, or in that case you bought an item, it just means that no one else has bought or sold below it. So you got quite high chances of selling for a little bit lower than what you paid for, meaning that you won't really lose much at all. So that's in case you panic. But you usually can make profit no matter if you pay slightly higher than normal. Even if it's like 50 to 100k, it's still profit. So the Bandos Tazettes, they said you should buy at 2775, thousand, and you should sell at around 3 million. So I've bought slightly above it and slightly, going to sell slightly below it. And as you just saw, I've made about 130,000 profit, which is around 5%. So 5% is quite good, making money 5% at a time is really decent. So it means that if I invest 50 million, I should be able to walk away with probably around 2.5 million in my pocket. And if I'm making about 10% flips, I should be able to walk away with about 5 million profit if I invest my full 50 million, But do keep in mind that if your prices are too high, they won't sell. So sometimes you're better off looking for just 1-2%, as long as they sell and you don't lose any money. So just keep an eye on that, because sometimes you're better off just not looking for any profit at all and not losing any money. So you've got to be careful with that. So I've just bought an Armadillo crossbow for 2.830, and the suggested price is for you to sell at 2,925. So I want to try and sell slightly below it, so at 2,910. And I'm going to tell you straight away, when I put that price in, I was kind of thinking, should I sell above the 100k mark? So should I sell above 2.9 million? And it turns out that never sold. So what I did was I put it, and you will see this towards the end of the video, I did put it slightly below 2.9 million just to make sure it sells, and it did sell. Even though I only made about 70,000 profit, that is still profit. And if you made 70,000 10 times, we're talking about 700k. So even if it might look like little profit, in the long run, you're going to be making a lot of profit with those small amounts. So the friend chat has announced that the Armadillo chest blade is 5.825 to buy, and to sell it's 5.8. So that's around 175,000 profit. So I'm going to be trying to aim for around 150,000 profit. So working inside those margins, I'm going to be trying to figure out what price to buy at and what price to sell at. But I just noticed that the guide price is at 5.7-ish. So I'm going to be trying to aim for around 5.7, because buying below the guide price and then selling above it is going to be quite difficult with almost every single item. So it did buy at 5.7 about a minute later, and these are fast flips because it's quite a prime time, for fast flips. And I'm just going to be aiming for around 80,000 profit, which is still quite good. Even though it's about 1 or 2% profit, it's still profit, and you're worth taking the risk just to make 80,000 profit. And honestly, with these items that are above the guide price, if you panic, all you got to do is just put it in for the guide price, and it should sell almost instantly, or it should sell instantly. The main reason is because if people are buying above it, for you to sell below it is going to be quite easy. So I just noticed that someone just bought the Wisp for 3.475. So I'm going to try and buy at 3.390. It is quite a lot lower, 80,000 lower. So I'm going to be trying to buy 80,000 lower. And I know that with the Wisp, in the past, you can get quite a few lucky flips. So I'm going to be trying to aim for around 150,000 profit on that one item. Moving on to the Gown of Subjugation, they said that you can buy at 6.6 and sell at 6.8 million. So I'm going to be trying to buy at 6.6, and it bought about 5 minutes later, and now I'm going to be trying to sell slightly below 6.8. I'm going to sell about 30,000 below it. And I know it's possible because, keeping an eye on that friend chat at the same time, I had seen that someone had pretty much bought instantly at 6.79. So that's 20k above what I'm trying to sell for. And I'm not sure if you saw also my Whisper bought, which was 80,000 below what someone had updated. So you just kind of sometimes be a bit smart with these flips and try and figure out, if you were in someone else's shoes, what price would you buy a certain item at. Now flipping is just so simple sometimes, but you got to sometimes be quite careful with what you do. Don't be too greedy and aim for too high of a profit, because sometimes you just won't get it, and you'll end up losing money because you've had this item for well too long and you just can't sell it. So today I spent about an hour and a half flipping, but funny enough, the only time, and I did time this, the only time I spent in the Grand Exchange was 20 minutes of that 1 hour and a half. So these are flips all along 1 hour and a half, but I only spent about slightly below 20 minutes in the Grand Exchange itself. So that means that in 20 minutes, and I'm going to finish the video here, in 20 minutes I made 2.7 million. So in 20 minutes, that's not that bad. So personally, I'm looking at 7 million profit per hour on flipping. And if I go and do farm runs whilst, waiting, I'm probably looking at about 8 to 10 million personally per hour. Because if I go and do QBD, Queen Black Dragon at the same time, which is about another 3 million, 4 million per hour, or if I go and do some farm runs, I can easily make so much more profit per hour. So the best time to do flipping is whilst you're playing the game from day to day, and you can take it easy because you know that you're going to be making money whilst flipping and also making money doing whatever else you do. So sometimes people are asking, tell me the secret, how can I make more than everyone else? So doing several stuff at the same time can make you a lot of money. So I want to stop the video here, and of course if you have any questions at all, please just post them below, because in the next video I will definitely talk about them. I want this to become kind of like me teaching you how to flip, but at the same time making a series out of it to make it quite fun. So of course if you have any questions, just post them below and I will read them, and in my next series I'll definitely talk about them. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out in the description below all my other episodes. There's 2 other episodes, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.